Hello and welcome to the science class, Primary 6, Term 1. My name is Teacher John. Today we're going to look at flatworms. Flatworms, these are worms that have a flattened body. All these are worms with flattened bodies. So in other words, flatworms have a flat body. Examples of flatworms, we have tapeworms, pond flatworms, then we have liver flukes. These are examples of flatworms. Now, if you look at tapeworms, majorly you can also discuss about tapeworms. Tapeworms enter our bodies through eating undercooked meat. Tapeworms enter our body through eating undercooked meat. And what do tapeworms feed on? Tapeworms feed on digested food. Tapeworms feed on digested food. Then these tapeworms can be controlled by eating fully cooked meat. Eating fully cooked meat, and you can also control tapeworms through deworming. So we have around 3 ways you can control tapeworm: deworming, eating fully cooked meat, and washing fruits and vegetables before eating them. That's how we can control tapeworms. Then tapeworms, the head of a tapeworm is called a scolex. The head of a tapeworm is called a scolex. Then the tapeworm has what you call, in P4 you drew a diagram showing the tapeworm, and a tapeworm has the hooks and suckers. These hooks and suckers are used for attachment. Hooks and suckers are used for attachment. Next, we look at roundworms. Roundworms, we have examples of roundworms. We have hookworms, pinworms, guinea worms, ascaris worms, filario worms, eelworms, and threadworms. We repeat, roundworms, examples we have hookworms, pinworms, guinea worms, ascaris worms, filario worms, eelworms, and threadworms. Let me briefly talk about hookworms. How do hookworms enter our body? Hookworms enter our body by penetrating bare feet. The spelling of the word bare is very important. Hookworms enter our body by penetrating bare feet. What do hookworms feed on? Hookworms feed on blood. And how can we control hookworms? Hookworms can be controlled by wearing shoes, then by deworming. By deworming, then wearing shoes, especially if you are moving in dirty, moist areas. You should always wear shoes or gumboots. That one can help you control hookworms. Next, look at arthropods. Arthropods are animals with jointed legs and segmented bodies. Arthropods are animals with jointed legs and segmented bodies. They also have an exoskeleton. So that means that arthropods have 3 major characteristics. They have an exoskeleton, meaning that their skeleton is found outside the bodies of animals. They have segmented bodies, meaning that their bodies are divided into segments. Then they have jointed legs, meaning that their legs have joints. Then next we look at groups of arthropods. We have 4 groups of arthropods. We have myriapods, arachnids, crustaceans, and insects. We repeat, groups of arthropods. We have myriapods, arachnids, crustaceans, and insects. Let's look at characteristics of arthropods. I said we have 3 characteristics of arthropods. They have an exoskeleton, they have jointed legs, then they have segmented bodies. Now, we said we have 3 groups of arthropods, whereby we say we have myriapods, we have arachnids, we have crustaceans, and we also have insects. Let's begin with myriapods. Myriapods are arthropods with many jointed legs with an exoskeleton. Myriapods are arthropods with many jointed legs with an exoskeleton. Examples of myriapods are only two. We have centipedes and millipedes. Now if you look at centipedes and millipedes, they have so many jointed legs. I think they have two pairs of jointed legs on each segment. Then centipedes, they have a pair of jointed legs on each segment. Meaning that millipedes, they have more legs compared to centipedes. Centipedes are carnivores, or they are carnivorous, meaning that they feed on insects. Then millipedes are herbivores, they feed on plant materials. So in case you are asked the difference between a millipede and a centipede, you can say centipede is a carnivore while a millipede is a herbivore. Then millipedes protect themselves by coiling or curling. Then centipedes protect themselves by injecting poison in its enemy. Centipedes protect themselves by injecting poison in their enemies. Centipedes protect themselves by injecting poison in their enemies. So another difference between a centipede and a millipede, you can say millipedes protect themselves by coiling, while centipedes protect themselves by injecting poison in their enemies. Next, the next group of arthropods is arachnids. Arachnids are arthropods with 4 pairs of jointed legs. Arachnids are arthropods with 4 pairs of jointed legs, meaning that they have 8 jointed legs. That's what we mean by having 4 pairs of jointed legs. Characteristics of arachnids. We have 3 major characteristics of arachnids. They have 2 main body parts. They have 4 pairs of jointed legs. They have 4 pairs of jointed legs, or you can say they have 8 jointed legs. Then lastly, they use lung books for breathing, or they breathe through lung books. Then we look at examples of arachnids. We have 3 major examples of arachnids. One, we have ticks, spiders, and scorpions. So in case they ask you, why is a tick called an arachnid? A tick, we go back to the characteristic and we say a tick has 2 main body parts. A tick has 4 pairs of jointed legs. Then a tick breathes through lung books. If they ask you why is a scorpion called an arachnid, a scorpion breathes through lung books. A scorpion has 2 main body parts. Then a scorpion has 4 pairs of jointed legs, or a scorpion has 8 jointed legs. Then scorpions protect themselves by stinging their enemies. Ticks spread relapsing fever to people. There is a disease called relapsing fever. It is spread by ticks. Then next we look at insects. Characteristics of insects. We have they have 3 main body parts. Insects have 3 main body parts. They have the head, the thorax, and the abdomen. The head, the thorax, and the abdomen. Those are the 3 main body parts of an insect. Then they use spiracles for breathing. Insects use spiracles for breathing. Then they have 3 pairs of jointed legs. Insects have 3 pairs of jointed legs. Then you can also say insects have a pair of feelers. Insects have a pair of feelers. So those are the 4 characteristics of insects. Somebody may ask you examples of insects. You can say houseflies, butterflies, bees, wasps, and so on. Grasshoppers, cockroaches, all those are examples of insects. Why are they called insects? They have 3 main body parts. Why are they called insects? They use spiracles for breathing. Why is a bee called an insect? A bee has 3 pairs of jointed legs. A bee has a pair of feelers. Why is a cockroach called an insect? A cockroach has 3 main body parts. As simple as that. Then they can also ask you the difference between insects and arachnids. Insects breathe through spiracles. Arachnids breathe through lung books. Insects have 3 main body parts, while arachnids have 2 main body parts. So those are the differences between arachnids and insects. Now you can also be asked the difference between a spider and a housefly. Now a spider is an arachnid, a housefly is an insect. So the difference still remains. A housefly breathes through spiracles, while a spider breathes through lung books. A spider breathes through lung books, while a housefly breathes through spiracles. A spider has 2 main body parts, while a housefly has 3 main body parts. As simple as that. So those are the differences between insects and arachnids. Next, look at reproduction in insects. Most insects reproduce by laying eggs, though we have some insects which don't lay eggs. For example, we have an insect called a sassafly. A sassafly does not lay eggs. For it, it produces live larvae. When I say live larvae, it simply means that they have eggs in their abdomen, but they don't lay those eggs. Those eggs hatch when they are still in the abdomen of a sassafly. Then, after they are hatched, the sassafly will produce those larvae. So, sassaflies are the insects they are some of the insects that do not lay eggs. For them, they produce live larvae. Then we look at types of. So we have said most. When I say most, it means that there are those which don't. So most insects reproduce by laying eggs. Then we have those ones which don't lay eggs. They produce live larvae. I've given an example of a sassafly. Types of metamorphosis. Now we have 2 types of metamorphosis. We have complete metamorphosis and incomplete metamorphosis. What is a complete metamorphosis? This is the type of life cycle where insects undergo 4 stages of development. Complete metamorphosis is the type of metamorphosis or is the type of life cycle where insects undergo 4 stages of development. The first stage of development, the first one is eggs, larva, pupa, then adult. Those are the 4 stages of development of an insect. Alright, so we've looked at types of metamorphosis. We said we have 2 types of metamorphosis. We have a complete life cycle and incomplete life cycle. We said the complete life cycle is the type of life cycle where insects carry out 4 stages of development, where we have the eggs, larva, pupa, and then adult. Then we have examples of insects that carry out a complete life cycle, insects which undergo 4 stages of development. We have mosquitoes, we have bees, we have sassaflies, we have wasps, we have butterflies, then we have a moth. One can also ask you you can be asked the larva stage of these insects. For example, the larva stage of a mosquito is called wriggler. The larva stage of a mosquito is called wriggler. The larva stage of a bee is called grub. The larva stage of a bee is called grub. The word wriggler is written like this. Wriggler. Then we have grub. Then the larva stage of a butterfly and a moth are called caterpillar. Then a housefly, its larva stage is called maggots. So that is about insects. And we say they reproduce by laying eggs, most of them. So those are insects which carry out a complete life cycle. We said mosquitoes, bees, sassaflies, moths, butterflies, wasps, even including houseflies. They carry out a complete life cycle, meaning that they undergo 4 stages of development. Then we have incomplete life cycle. This is the second stage, this is the second type of life cycle. It is the type of life cycle in which insects undergo 3 stages of development. So here, insects carry out 3 stages of development. They carry out the first stage is eggs. Then the second stage is nymph. Then the third stage is adult. So we have eggs, nymph, then adult. Those are the 3 stages of development in insects which carry out incomplete life cycle. We have examples of insects which carry out incomplete life cycle. One, we have grasshoppers, locusts, then we have cockroaches. Grasshoppers, locusts, cockroaches, then we have what we call praying mantis. Praying mantis, you can add that one. Praying mantis. Praying mantis also carry out incomplete life cycle. Then we also have what we call crickets. Crickets are like in the same category like locusts, but for them they are big. They are called crickets. Yeah. So I've given you 4 examples of insects which carry out incomplete life cycle: grasshoppers, locusts, cockroaches, praying mantis. Then we have crickets. Importance of insects. How are insects important in our daily life? Some insects are eaten as food, like grasshoppers and locusts. Some insects pollinate flowers, like bees and butterflies. Some insects provide honey, like bees. Some insects are sold to get money, like grasshoppers can be sold to get money. Next, we look at dangers of insects. How are insects dangerous to people? Some insects spread diseases, like houseflies, cockroaches. They spread diseases. Some insects destroy crops, like locusts, cricket. Locusts and cricket. They are insects that destroy crops. They are crop pests. Then some insects bite people, like we have insects which can bite, like sassaflies. They can bite and spread diseases like sleeping sickness. We have mosquitoes which bite and they spread malaria and so on. Then some insects sting people, like bees, they sting. Wasps, they can sting, and so on. That is all about that topic. We go to the second topic in primary 6, term 1, and that topic is called sound. The new topic we are going to look at is called sound. What is sound? Sound is a form of energy produced by vibration of an object. Sound is a form of energy produced by vibration of an object. Why is sound called a form of energy? Sound is called a form of energy because it enables people to do work. In other words, you need to know what is energy. Energy is the ability to do work. So sound is a form of energy that enables people to do work. That's why it is called a form of energy. It enables people to do work. How is sound produced? Sound is produced by vibration of an object. If I take you back to the definition of sound, we said sound is a form of energy produced by vibration of an object. So if they ask you how sound is produced, you simply say sound is produced by vibration. Then how does sound travel? Sound travels through sound waves. Sound travels through sound waves. We have types of sound. We have 4 types of sound. We have loud sound, soft sound, high sound, and low sound. Next, look at sources of sound. We have 2 major sources of sound. We have natural sources of sound and artificial sources of sound. We begin with natural sources of sound. These are materials or things that produce their own sound naturally. For example, of natural sources of sound, we have birds, we have animals, we have thunder, we have wind, we have flowing water. So birds produce their own sound, animals produce their own sound, thunder produces its own sound, wind the same, and flowing water. So those are examples of natural sources of sound. Next, we look at artificial sources of sound. These are materials controlled by people to produce sound. And they are controlled by people, they are made by people to produce sound. And most of them are musical instruments. For example, of artificial sources of sound, we have instruments like a guitar, we have a drum, a keyboard, a flute, tube fiddle, trumpet, and so on. Even a drum, a horn. Those are artificial sources of sound. Why do we call them artificial sources of sound? They are made by people to produce sound. Like, for example, if you get a whistle and you start blowing, the whistle becomes an artificial sources of sound because people are the ones who make them to produce sound. But if a person is talking, the way the teacher is talking to you, the teacher becomes a natural source of sound, because I'm producing my own sound. Nobody is making me to produce the sound. So I become a natural source of sound. So we fall under animals. That's why we have said animals are natural sources of sound. Then we have groups of musical instruments. We have three major groups of musical instruments. We have percussion musical instruments, wind musical instruments, and string musical instruments. So in our next lesson, we shall look at the three groups of musical instruments. We shall begin with percussion, we go to wind musical instrument, then we shall look at string musical instrument. Otherwise, thank you so much for attending this lesson. God bless you so much.